Okay, hello everyone. So in this particular class, we will be doing again some portion of trigonometry, which we have been doing for last two classes. In the very first class, I discussed with you some part of class 10th, in which we should understand actually what is sine theta, cos theta, right, tan theta, what are basic formulae, what are the values for different angles of these ratios, right, for right angle triangle. So these all are ratios of the sides of the right angle triangle, right? Then and after that, towards the end of that class, we have discussed if there are angles which are more than 90 degree, then how to find the values of sine of those or cos of those angles, in which we can see the total x y axis we can divide into four quadrants: quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. In the first quadrant, all the ratios are positive. In the second quadrant, only sine and cosec are positive. In the third quadrant, tan and cot are positive, and in the fourth quadrant, in the same manner, cos and sec are positive, right? So these all things we have done in the very first class. Now in the second class of trigonometry, that is trigonometry 2, in that we have discussed all the things, basically some more formulae like say sine a plus b, cos a plus b, sine 2a, cos 2a, all those things from class 11. Some part of class 11 trigonometry we have done in that, and some properties again, okay, and some questions based on those properties, that how to apply the properties in the questions to have some idea, right? Because in your math section where 40 questions are coming, right, in that particularly I have seen the questions based on trigonometry, and in trigonometry questions were there from the formulae which we generally use in class 11th, right? So some of the formulae I have also discussed with you how to use them in the questions, right? So you also please remember those formulae, right? And the application part is very simple. They are not going to give you very typical kind of question, because each question we are supposed to solve in 1 minute, right? So do not worry about the difficulty level of the question, but yes, the basic formula you should remember. If you remember those formulas, some of the application which I have discussed with you, if you watch the video, you can understand those application, and definitely I am sure that you can solve that question with 100% accuracy, right? So all those things I have already discussed. Now the third thing which I wanted to discuss with you is heights and distances, right? So height and distance is one topic on which every year, right, in last year specifically, if I say, there was one question based on height and distance. So out of those 40 questions, what I suppose is one question is fixed on height and distance, right? And the kind of question is also not very difficult kind, right, that I can assure you. So let's start with the basic concept of height and distance, right? So this is also part of trigonometry. So today this is trigonometry part 3, heights and distances. Okay. Now in this, first of all, let's understand the basic concepts, right? So the basic concept is what? If there is a person, right? If there is a person, suppose ye ho gaya, right? This is his eye. So this line is called, this is called line of sight, right? Which is parallel to the horizontal. This is called line of sight. Now, if this person sees anything which is above his height, right? Suppose he sees this object, right? This object. So obviously, the line of sight, right, will go at an angle upwards, right? So this will be his line of sight. So from the horizontal, the angle by which line of the sight is going above, this is called angle of elevation. This is called angle of elevation, right? and suppose the same person sees anything which is below him, right? Suppose on the ground now, let's say, suppose this is the object. So he has to take line of sight downwards at some angle. So suppose he is looking at this object, so line of sight will go downwards, and this is called angle of depression. So this is what D is, angle of depression, right? Some of the times he writes angle of dip, right? But both the things are same. So that is angle of elevation, angle of depression, but both the angles you can see are taken from horizontal, right? So this is elevation, this is depression, and one more thing, right? Suppose this is the person again, right? He sees some object like this. This is the object, right? And suppose he says that angle subtended by the object. If this is written, angle subtended by object on the eye of observer, right? So angle subtended by object on the eye of observer, right? So this is what, how to take top of the object and bottom of the object, right? This total angle is called angle subtended, right? So these three things are there: angle of elevation, angle of depression, angle of elevation, angle of depression, and angle subtended by the object on the eye of the observer, right? So these three things are there. Okay, now one thing is that if suppose height of the person is not given in the question, so if height of the person is not specified, then I will consider that as a point on the ground, right? So if height of observer is not mentioned, consider it a point on the ground, right? It means what? Why consider? Because in those cases height of the person is negligible in comparison to height of the object. So if that height of person is negligible, so one generally we neglect that and we consider that as a point on the ground, right? So these one or two things you should remember. And now I will say we will start with questions, and in questions basically the usage primarily will be of tan theta, right? Some of the cases sin theta, cos theta may be there. Primarily it's tan theta usage. And second thing is you should draw the diagram correctly. If you draw the diagram correctly, 60% of the work is done. Remaining 40% is your calculation part, right? So let's start with the questions. Let's see what kind of questions are there. Okay, now this is the very first question. Find the angular elevation. Angular means angle find करना है. Elevation, angle of elevation basically of the sun when the shadow of a 10-meter long pole is 10 root 3, right? So if I want to draw the diagram, this is pole, 10 meters is the height of the pole, and shadow of the pole is 10 root 3. So suppose sun is here, right? Then shadow of the pole on the ground will be like this. So length of shadow length of shadow is 10 root 3 meters, right? And the height of the pole is 10 meters, right? So if sun is there, definitely the shadow will form at this side. So angular elevation of the sun means where the shadow is ending, right? This angle we are supposed to find. This is angular elevation of the sun on the ground at that point, right? So theta we can find. So you can see how to find theta. This is a pole. So obviously this is at right angle triangle on the ground. So this is tan theta is height by base. So tan theta is height by base. So that is 1 by root 3. Now when tan theta is 1 by root 3, then theta is equal to what? 30 degree, because tan 30 degree is 1 by root 3. Okay, clear? Chaliye, let's try this. So simple angles usage will be there, tan theta, cos theta. Some of the times we have to use properties of maybe possible similar triangles, congruent triangles. Some geometry is also involved in that, right? Okay, in this, if a 1.5-meter tall girl stands at a distance of 3 meter from a lamp post and casts a shadow of 4.5 meter on the ground, then find height of the lamp post, right? So now height of the girl is given. So suppose this is girl, right? Let us say this is G. The height is 1.5 meters. Okay. Now it is casting a shadow 4.5. So suppose the shadow is at this side. 4.5 meter is the shadow, and obviously this is what? Lamp post. Let's say that is LP, lamp post, right? And the girl is at a distance of 3 meter from the lamp post, right? So lamp post is here. So this is girl, this is shadow of the girl 4.5 meter. Find the height of the lamp post. So this is, let's say, height of the lamp post. So obviously this is 90 degree, this is also 90 degree. So you can see that there are two right angle triangles, right? Can I say both the right angle triangles are similar, right? That I can say, and I can apply height by height, base by base, or I can say suppose this angle is theta. So in this triangle tan theta is height by base, and in the bigger triangle also I can say tan theta is height by base, right? So we can think about this, tan theta is height by base in this triangle, right? And then in the bigger triangle also we can write tan theta as height by base. Now what is total base? 4.5 plus 3, that is 7.5. All right. So further you can solve it. This is 1 by 3, with 3 I can cancel it. This is 2.5. So height of the lamp post is 2.5 meters. So you can see, if you draw the diagram correctly, you can get the answers also easily. Okay. So just draw the diagram correctly, and okay, so a tower is 50 meter high this is 50-meter high, this is a tower T, right? So its shadow is x meter shorter when the sun's altitude is 45 degree than when it is 30 degree. So obviously if sun's altitude, right? So let's say when sun's altitude is 30 degree, right? So this is sun, this is 30 degree, right? So when sun's altitude is 30 degrees, shadow is that much long, right? This is shadow of the tower, right? But when sun is at this position, right, and sun's altitude becomes, this is the new position of sun, and sun's altitude becomes 45 degree, right? So obviously पहले इतना शेडो थी, अब कितनी लेंथ रह गई शेडो की? ऑब्वियसली एल्टीट्यूड इज 45 डिग्री, देन शेडो विल रिड्यूस, राइट? सन और ऊपर आएगा, शेडो विल और रिड्यूस हो जाएगी. When sun is at the top of the tower exactly, then the length of shadow we will be considering 0, right? No shadow will be formed. So here you can see x meter shorter. So this length is what? X meter. Okay, we have to find the value of x find करना है. तो डायग्राम बना लिया हमने. नाउ वी कैन कंसीडर, नाउ एवरी, दिस इज व्हाट ए राइट एंगल ट्राइंगल. नाउ वी नो दैट this is 10 45 degrees 50 by this length, right? Suppose this is 80. So 10 45 degree is equal to what? Length of the tower, let's say BT, divided by 80. So BT is what? 50 by 80, right? Up now since this is 45 degree, that is 1. So can I say 80 is equal to what? 50. So that length is also 50 meters. Okay. Now then in the second triangle, right angle triangle, you can apply 10 30 degree. So when you apply 10 30 degree, that is height by base. So that is 50 plus x. Now this is the base. Okay. Height by base. So 10 30 degree is 1 by root 3. 50 upon 50 plus x. So this is 50 root 3 is equal to 50 plus x. So x is 50 and 50 will come this side, minus 50. So that is root 3 minus 1, right? So 50 into root 3 minus 1. Now he has given the value of root 3 to you, 1.732. So you can find 50, 1.732 minus 1 is 0.732, right? Then this is 0, 5 into 2, 10, 1, 15 plus 1 is 16, 1, 35 plus 1 is 36, 1, 2, 3 places decimal. So 36.6 meters. Okay, so this would be the answer. All right. Okay, now let's see the next question. So first you try, then I will discuss. Now for every question, now I will give you 1 to 2 minutes to try by your own first, and then after that I will discuss. Okay, kite is flying attached to a thread which is 165 meter long. The thread makes an angle of 30 degree with the ground. Find the height of the kite from the ground, assuming that there is no slack in the thread. Right? So no slack means ढीली नहीं है, that is completely in tension, right? So ये तो बहुत सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है. Attached to a thread which is 165 This is 165-meter thread. This is kite K, right? The thread makes an angle of 30° from the ground, right? Now we can ultimately you can see the person would be there, but height of the person is negligible in comparison to height of kite. So we have to consider a point. Find height of the kite from the ground. So this we have to find this height. This angle is 90°. So now you can see in this question hypotenuse is there and height is there. So if hypotenuse and height are there, we can apply what? Sine 30°. So sine 30° is what? 1 by 2. That is height by hypotenuse, right? So height will be what? 165 by 2. That is 82.5 meters. So kite is flying at a height of 82.5 meters. Okay. Let's try the next one. So in this, two pillars of equal heights stand on either side of a road which is 100-meter wide. At a point on the road between the pillars, the angle of elevations of top of the pillars are 30° and 60°. Right? Find the height of each pillar and position of the point on the road. So height of the pillar is same. So obviously when the angles of elevation are different, so that point is not in the middle of the road, right? So you make the diagram and then try to find out the answer. Two things we have to find. First is height of each pole and position of the point on the road. So we can see this is road, 100 meters. These are two pillars of equal length, equal height, right? So height of both the pillars is same. Okay, so there is a point. This is P. So angle of elevation, एक top का angle of elevation is 60°. This is more. This angle would be less. That is 30°. Okay, so this thing is given in the question. Okay, 100 meters wide road. Either side of the road poles are there. The angle of elevation, find height of each pillar and position of the point on the road, right? So suppose if I consider this length as x, then this length will be what? 100 minus x. Okay, and these angles obviously are 90-90°. So again I can apply tan 60° here and tan 30° there. So if you apply tan 60°, tan 60° is what? Height upon base, right? Tan 60° is root 3. It is h by x, right? So h is equal to what? X root 3, right? Now when you apply tan theta in this triangle, then it is tan 30°, that is equal to h upon 100 minus x. Now tan 30° is 1 by root 3. Now in place of h I can write x root 3 divided by 100 minus x. Now if you cross multiply, so that is 100 minus x this side and root 3 into x root 3, that is what? 3x. So from here 4x is equal to 100. So x is what? 25, right? So can I say the distance of the point from one of the pole is 25 meters and from other pole it is 75 meters. Okay, and then we can find h as well. So h is equal to 25. This is x 25 root 3, right? So that is 1.732 into 25 we can write. So either you multiply this or you can write this 25 as 100 by 4 for calculation purposes. So that is 173.2 by 4. So you can see this is since ending with 32. So this number is totally divisible by 4. That's why we can do this. So 4 into 4 into 4 is 16, 1 3 13. 4 into 3 is 12, then again 12. So height will be what? 43.3 meters of each pole. ओके सो इसी तरीके के क्वेश्चंस होंगे वहां पर भी, राइट? ऐसे ही क्वेश्चन, सेम काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस यू विल गेट ओवर देयर. So without any much difficulty, if you draw the diagram correctly, definitely you can find the answers also. Okay, let's try the next one. In this, the angle of elevation of an aeroplane from a point on the ground is 60 degree. After a flight of 15 seconds, the angle of elevation changes to 30 degree. If the aeroplane is flying at a constant height of 1500 root 3, find speed of the plane in kilometers per hour. Okay, so the angle of elevation of an aeroplane from a point on the ground is 60 degree. So suppose this is ground, this is aeroplane A, and the angle of elevation from a point P is 60 degree, right? So this is aeroplane moving in that direction. Okay. Now after a flight of 15 seconds, the angle of elevation changes to 30 degree, right? So person is seeing at the aeroplane. So 15 seconds के बाद angle of elevation is reducing, right? So the aeroplane would be here. This is the new position of aeroplane, right? And the angle of elevation of this position is what now? 30 degree. Okay. Now the plane is flying at a constant height of 1500 root 3. So this height is 1500 root 3 meters. Okay. So we have to find speed of the plane. So can I say speed of the plane will be what? What is the distance traveled by plane in 15 seconds? So in 15 seconds, this is the distance traveled by the plane. Okay. So if this is the distance, right, then speed will be what? Speed is distance divided by time. So first of all, A will be in meter and 15 is in seconds. So first of all, we'll find the speed in meter per second, then we can convert it in kilometers per hour. Okay, so we have to find the distance A dash, right? So suppose there are two triangles, we can see. This is one triangle with 60 degree. This is another triangle with 30 degree, right? So this A dash is, suppose this is x1, this is x2, right? So the base of this triangle is x2, base of this triangle is x1. So difference between this is x2 minus x1. So this is the difference. X2 minus x1 is nothing but A dash, right? Because these are obviously right angle triangles. X2 minus x1 is equal to A dash. So let's see, if I apply tan 60 degree, that is equal to what? This height 1500 root 3 is the height, which is same as this, by base x1, right? So since this is equal to root 3, so root 3 will cancel out. So x1 is equal to what? 1500, right? These many meters. In the same manner, tan 30 degree is also 1500 root 3 divided by x2. Okay. Now tan 30 degree is 1 by root 3. So root 3 into this will be x2. So x2 is equal to 1500 into root 3 is 3. So that is 4500 meters. So from here, can I say that A dash is equal to 4500 minus 1500, that is 3000 meters. So this is A dash, that is x2 minus x1, these two will be same. Okay, right? Now we can find this speed. So this speed is 3000 by 15 meter per second. So that is 15 into 2, 200 meter per second. Now since we have to find it in kilometers per hour, so we can multiply this with 18 by 5, right? That we have done in the classes of time, speed and distance, that is speed conversion from kilometer per hour to meter per second and vice versa. So that is 40. So 18 into 4 is, that is 720 kilometer per hour, right? So this is the correct answer, 720 kilometers per hour. Okay, now another thing in this question, right? If you think the angle of elevation of an aeroplane from a point is 60 degree, right? Where we have considered that aeroplane is moving in that direction. Okay. Now, it is also possible that after a 15 seconds angle of elevation changes to 30 degree, right? He has not mentioned that plane is flying the direction in the same direction. If aeroplane is moving, then angle becomes 30 degree. It is not mentioned, right? So it is also quite possible that this is the ground, this is aeroplane A, angle of elevation is 60 degree at some moment. What if aeroplane is flying at this, in this direction, right? Then can I say after a flight of 15 seconds, the angle of elevation becomes 30 degree, right? And this will be A dash. So this is also possible, right? So again we can find the value of A dash. So this height is 1500 root 3. Okay, and this is also 1500 root 3. Now with 60 degree we have got this length, that is in the last when we have applied this thing 1500 root 3 by x1, that is 1500. So in that case this is x1 1500 and this is x2, and x2 we have got, that is 4500, because the same procedure we are going to apply, right? Height by base. So that is 4500. So this case is also possible, right? So this total distance will be what? 45 plus 1500, that is 6000 meters in 15 seconds. 6000 meters, right? So speed will be what? That is 6000 by 15 meter per second. So that is 400 meter per second. 15 se we can cancel. So here that was 200 meter per second, 720. So double of that. So double of that. So 720 double of 720, that is 1440 kilometers per hour, right? So that case is also possible. So if he has not mentioned the direction of the airplane, two cases are possible, right? Two cases are possible. Okay, so my answer can be 720, can be 1440 kilometers per hour as well. Okay, so अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है तो हमारे पास एक चॉइस होती है मोर देन वन ऑप्शन. सो इफ दैट इज देयर और दोनों ऑप्शंस आर देयर, 720 भी है, 1440 इज आल्सो देयर इन द ऑप्शंस, देन माय करेक्ट आंसर विल बी मोर देन वन ऑप्शंस इन दिस केस. ओके, from a point O on the ground, the angle of elevation of top of the tower and that of the top of the flagstaff on the top of the tower is 60 degree. So see, this is ground, this is tower T, right, that is tower, and then there is a flagstaff on that. Okay, so from a point, the angle of elevation of the tower is 30 degree and that of the top of the flagstaff on the top of the tower is 60 degree. So this angle is 60 degree, right? This thing is given. If the length of the flagstaff is 5 meters, so that is 5 meters, find height of the tower. So suppose height of the tower is h, right? So h meter is the height. So again, there are two angles, 30 degree and 60 degree. So we can apply tan 30 degree is 1 by root 3, that is equal to h by, let's say this length is b, right? So we can say b is equal to h root 3. Okay, then we can apply in the bigger triangle, tan 60 degree is 5 plus h upon b, height by base. So that is root 3 is equal to 5 plus h divided by, in place of b I can write h root 3. So h root 3 into root 3, that is 3h is equal to 5 plus h. So h is what? 2h is 5, 5 by 2, that is 2.5 meter. So height of the tower is 2.5 meters. Let's try this. Man on the cliff observe a boat and an angle of, this is 30 degree, right? The man on a cliff observes a boat at an angle of depression of 30 degree, which is approaching the shore to the point immediately beneath the observer with a uniform speed. 6 minutes later, the angle of depression of the boat is found to be 60 degree. Find the total time taken by boat to reach the shore. So in this, angle of depression is there, but we know that angle of elevation or angle of depression, both are considered from the horizontal. Both are considered from the horizontal. So a man on a cliff observes a boat at an angle of depression of 30 degree, right? So suppose this is cliff. right? This is C, and there is a person P, right? So person is on the top of the cliff, suppose, right? There is a boat B, there is a boat B which is approaching to the shore, right? So at some moment, the angle of depression of this boat is 30 degree, right? So this 30 degree is what? From the horizontal. This angle of depression is 30 degree because his line of sight is going downwards by 30 degree. So this is 30 degree. Okay. Then this is moving with uniform speed, means same speed. 6 minutes later, the angle of depression of boat is found to be 60 degree. So 6 minutes later, suppose the boat is here. This is the new position of boat, and angle of depression becomes 60 degree. Okay. Find the total time taken by the boat to reach the shore. So now first of all, you see these are angle of depression, they are considered from horizontal. So if this angle is 30 degree, so this angle also will be what? 30 degree, because these are alternate angles now, right? Because this is also horizontal, this line is horizontal. In the same manner, this is 60, this also would be 60 degree, right? So in this journey, it has taken 6 minutes. So in this journey, what is the time taken, right? So this is the question. So if suppose height of the cliff is h, so we can apply tan 30 degree and tan 60 degree. Okay. So first of all, if you see tan, this is the time, this is, let's say this point is A, so AB dash AB, so tan 60 degree, which is equal to root 3, that is height by AB dash. So this I know that h is equal to root 3 times of AB dash, right? Then in the same manner, we can apply tan 30 degree, which is 1 by root 3, that is equal to h upon AB, right? Total base. So from here, this is h root 3 is equal to what? AB, right? Now AB I can write as h root 3, AB I can write as BB dash plus AB dash, right? Now in place of AB dash, I can write h root 3, that is h root AB dash h by root 3, right? So let me write here h root 3 is equal to, because we have to find the ratio of lengths of BB dash and AB dash. Once I get this ratio, so since speed is uniform, so in the same ratio time would be divided. In the same ratio time would be divided, right? So AB dash I want to find actually h, as such AB dash we have got h by root 3, and AB we have got h root 3. So BB dash we can find, okay, or AB is h root 3. So h root 3 is equal to, so let's do in this way, AB dash is h by root 3, right? So BB dash is equal to h root 3 minus h by root 3. So that is 3h minus h, that is 2h by root 3. Okay, so BB dash is 2h by root 3, AB dash is h by root 3, right? So if you see, can I say AB dash, length of AB dash is half of length of BB dash, right? So AB dash is half of BB dash, right? तो अब देखिए ये लेंथ अगर हाफ है, ये डिस्टेंस हाफ है, इस टोटल इसकी बीबी डैश जितनी है उसकी हाफ है, तो अगर यहाँ पर उसे 6 मिनट्स लगे हैं इतना डिस्टेंस ट्रेवल करने में, तो इस डिस्टेंस का हाफ ट्रेवल करने में उसे कितना लगेगा टाइम, 6 का हाफ, दैट इज 3 मिनट्स, राइट? सो आंसर इज 3 मिनट्स. This is the answer to this question. Okay, so अगर आप देखिए कैलकुलेशन थोड़ा सा इन्वॉल्व है, राइट? थोड़ा सा यूनिफॉर्म स्पीड है, तो वी हैव टू थिंक कि कितना टाइम लगने वाला है. ओके, आई होप ये क्वेश्चन क्लियर है. ओके, let's move further. Sorry, let's try this. Okay, man standing on the deck of a ship which is 10 meters above the water level. Observe the angle of elevation of top of a hill at 60 degree and angle of depression of the base of the hill is 630 degree, right? Find distance of the hill from the ship and height of the hill. Okay, so man is standing on the deck of a ship. So obviously if this is water level, right? So ship, deck of the ship must be at some height, right? So that height, suppose this is the person who is standing on the deck of the ship, right? So which is 10 meter above the water level. So this is 10 meter above the water level. Observe the angle of elevation of top of a hill as 60 degree, right? So this is the hill. So top of the hill, angle of elevation when we talk about, so that is always from horizontal, right? So this angle is 60 degree, okay, and the angle of depression of the base of the hill is 30 degree. So base of the hill is this. So angle of depression is also considered from horizontal, right? Line of sight will dip. So that angle is 30 degree, right? So that is there. Okay, find the distance of the hill from the ship, right? So suppose this distance is x, so this also would be x. Okay, this is 10, this is 10, and let's say this is y, that distance is y. So what we are supposed to find, distance of the hill from the ship, that is x, and height of the hill. Height of the hill is what? Y plus 10, that is height of the hill. So ultimately we have to find x and y both. So first of all, can I say I can find x easily if I apply path in this triangle, right? So this is for this 30 degree, this is height, and that x is base. So I can apply tan 30 degree, that is 1 by root 3 is equal to height by base, height by base. So from here x is 10 root 3. So one thing, we have got the distance of the ship from the hill, and secondly in this triangle if I apply tan 60 degree, so tan 60 degree is equal to root 3 is equal to height by base. Base is what? X. in place of x I can write 10 root 3. So y is equal to 10 root 3 into root 3, that is 30 meter, right? So height of the hill, what is height of the hill? That is 30 plus 10, total 40 meters. Okay, so height of the hill is 40 meters and the distance of the ship from the hill is 10 root 3 meters. Okay, all right. Let's see the next one. Okay, so in this angle of elevation and depression of the top and bottom of a tower from the top of a building 60 meter height are 30 and 60. Find the difference between heights of the building and the tower and also the distance between them. So suppose this is a building, right, and elevation है, तो obviously tower is higher than the building. This is tower. So angle of elevation and depression, so elevation is 30 degree. So this angle of elevation is 30 degree and angle of depression of the bottom is 60 degree, right? So this is building, right, and this is tower. So let's say these point A, B, C, D, E, right? So if suppose the height of the building is h, so this is also h, right? Then it is, let's say, x, and let's say this distance is y. Okay, so top of the building 60 meter height, so this h is given as 60 meters, right? That is equal to 60 meter, that is given. So only thing is what we need to find x and y. So first of all you can find y by using tan 60 degree in this triangle. For tan, this is height, this is base, so tan 60 degree, that is root 3 is equal to 60 is the height and base is what? Y. So y is equal to 60 by root 3, right? So 60 is 20 into 3, 3 by root 3 is root 3, so that is 20 root 3, right? So that is what? Distance of the distance between building and the tower. Okay, now second is what? We have to find height of the tower. So tan 30 we can use in another triangle. So you can see most of the time we are using what? Tan 30 is 1 by root 3, that is equal to x upon y, and the y is what? 20 root 3. So root 3 will cancel. So x is equal to what? 20 meters. Okay, so if this x is equal to 20 meters, then height will be what? 80 meters. So height of the tower is 80 meters and the distance between building and the tower is 20 root 3. Okay. Okay, so in this angle of elevation of top of a tower from 2 points on the ground at a distance a meters and b meters from the base of the tower and in the same straight line are complementary. Prove that height of the tower is under root AB meters. So let's say this is the tower. On the ground, right? Suppose this point at a distance of A meters, there is some angle of elevation, one more point which is at a distance of B meter. Okay. Now what is saying? The angles are complementary. Complementary angles are what? Whose sum is 90 degree. So if suppose I say this angle is theta, then this angle is 90 minus theta, right? So these two angles are complementary. So suppose height of the tower is h, So if height of the tower is h, so in one triangle if I apply, so that is tan theta is equal to height by base. In this triangle if I apply, then that is tan 90 minus theta is equal to height by base. Now what is base in the bigger triangle is a. Okay, now if you see tan 90 minus theta is nothing but cot theta. So cot theta is h by a. So if I multiply these two, cot theta into tan theta, that is h by a into h by b. Now cot theta tan theta product is 1 is equal to h square upon ab. So from here h is equal to what? Under root of ab. Okay. So in the exam, how he can ask is what is the height of the tower, and he will give you some options like root AB or 2A minus B or 3B minus C under root A upon B, like this, right? So there will be some options. So under root AB is the correct answer for this. Okay, clear? Now let's try another question. In this, a tree breaks due to storm and the broken part bends so that top of the tree touches the ground, making an angle of 30 degree with it. The distance between the foot of the tree to the point where the top touches the ground is 9 meter. Find height of the tree, right? So if you see, let's say this is total tree, okay? So breaks due to storm and bends so the top of the tree touches the ground. So suppose this is top of the tree T, it breaks from here. Suppose at point B it breaks. So this point T will touch the ground, right? So that will be the position. This part will come here, right? This is T. So this is BT and the same part is here. So this is X, this also will be X, and the angle of elevation here is 30 degree because this part makes 30 degree with the ground. The distance between the foot of the tree to the point where top touches ground is 9. So that is given as 9 meters. We ask what is height of the tree. Okay. So can I say this is 30 degree if I find this part y, right? So one angle is given, one side is given, I can find x and y both, right? So in this triangle, suppose I want to find the value of this x. So this is base, this is hypotenuse. So base and hypotenuse, what is the relation? Who gives me the relation in base and hypotenuse? Cos theta. So cos 30 degree is root 3 by 2 is equal to base by hypotenuse. So x is what? 2 into 9, 18 by root 3. So that is 6 into 3. 3 by root 3 is root 3. So x is 6 root 3. Okay. And we can find y as well. So tan 30 degree is equal to y by 9, that is 1 by root 3 is equal to y by 9. So y is equal to 9 by root 3, that is 3 root 3. So y is 3 root 3 and x is 6 root 3. So total height will be what? 9 plus 6, that is 9 root 3. So we can say height of the tree is 9 root 3 meters. Okay, is it clear? Now let's try one question. Question I am explaining to you. Now suppose there is a plot in the shape of equilateral triangle, right? Full stop. A flag staff is erected at the midpoint at the midpoint of one of its sides of one of its sides, right? The angle of elevation of the top of the angle of elevation of top of flag staff from two of the vertices from two of the vertices of the plot are 45-degree each, right? So we have to find height of flag staff if if length of median of the plot is 60 root 3 meters. So what is given, that there is a plot in the shape of equilateral triangle. A flag staff is erected at the midpoint of one of its sides. The angle of elevation of top of the flag staff from two of its vertices of the plot are 45-degree each. So if length of median of the plot, so I know median in case of equilateral triangle, median is same as height or altitude. So height of that is root 3 by 2 side, that is 60 root 3. So can I say side of equilateral triangle is 120 meters, right? So if suppose this is equilateral triangle, midpoint of any of the side there is a flag staff, right? This is flag staff जिसका height हमें find करना है, that is let's say x. Okay, now if you see that angle of elevation of the top of the flag staff from two of its vertices, right? तो अगर हम ये वाला vertice से angle देखें, right, so that angle is what, 45 degree. And one more thing, since this is erected, so this angle is what, 90 degree, right? So that is 45, that is 90, that is also 45 degree, right? And if you see from this vertices, from this vertex, it cannot be 45, right? Because from these two, if this is x, this angle is 45 degree. So 10 45 degree is 1. So if this is x, this also would be x, this also would be x, right? And if you see, consider that from here, from the third vertices, it is 45 degree. So it is not possible because this is x and this is height, right? That is what basically from this vertices it has to be different because this is x and this will be median. Median is what? X root 3 by 2, which is same as height. So this cannot be the angle. Only these two vertices can form the same angle, right? 45 degree and 45 degree. So since tan 45 is this, so this is x, this is x. So that is equal to what? 2x. So x will be what? 60 meter. So length of the flag staff is 60 meter. So one question of that sort also we have done, right? Okay. So with this, I am ending the session here. I hope height and distances are clear to you. बहुत easy तरीके से हम लोगों ने कर लिया है और कोई भी question if you get in your exam, you would be able to solve it with 100% accuracy, right? So with this, I end the session over here, right? In the coming sessions, I will be discussing with you some questions based on surds, indices, quadratic equation and statistics as well. And towards the end, I will be discussing with you the last year paper also, okay, of math section of total 40 questions. Okay, all right then, thank you.